Top 10 Scary Horror Movies Based on True Stories. Nothing gets the heart racing and sends shivers down the spine quite like a great horror movie. But the scary flicks that really stay with us are the ones based on actual events. Knowing that the nightmarish scenes on screen could happen in real life makes these films extra chilling. The most terrifying movies are the ones that tap into our deepest fears, when the things that go bump in the night may not just be in our imagination. In this video, we count down the top 10 scariest horror movies inspired by true stories. From unsolved murders to paranormal activity, these real-life tales provided filmmakers with some horrifying inspiration. Just remember as you watch, the disturbing events you see on screen may have actually happened somewhere. And that makes these top 10 picks the creepiest and most nightmare-inducing horror movies out there. Number 10. The Strangers. The Strangers is the perfect movie to kick off our list of the top 10 scarily real horror flicks. This 2008 home invasion thriller taps into the universal fear of being terrorized in your own home. Director Brian Bertino partly based the film on an incident from his own childhood. As a kid living on an isolated street, strangers came knocking on his door asking for someone who didn't live there. Later, it was discovered these creepy visitors were breaking into homes in the neighborhood when people weren't home. Just imagine opening the door late at night to threatening strangers lurking outside. The Strangers takes the terrifying premise and runs with it, keeping us on the edge of our seats as a couple is menaced by 3 masked assailants. Number 9. Scream, 1996. Few films reinvented a genre quite like Scream did with slasher flicks, a movie that gleefully dissected horror as a whole. Wes Craven's Scream provided laughs, horror, and keen meta-commentary in equal measure. But what many fans don't know is that Scream was inspired by real-life serial killer Danny Rolling. In 1990, Rolling ended the lives of 5 college students over just 4 days in Gainesville, Florida. When crafting the Ghostface Killer, screenwriter Kevin Williamson drew inspiration from the monstrous crimes of Danny Rawlings. Much like the fictional Woodrow Killer, Rolling struck without warning against innocent victims. His brutal and apparently random slaying shocked the nation, reigniting the conversation around violence in media. Scream's Ghostface Killer might have been parodied to death by this point, but knowing he's based on a real-life psycho only makes it more unsettling. Number 8. Jaws, 1976. Coming in at number 8 on our list is none other than Jaws. Yes, Jaws. You know, just when you thought it was safe to get back into the deep water? True Spielberg fans know the movie is based on the book of the same name. However, the inspiration for that book came from a real-life series of shark attacks that took place in 1916. During a massive heat wave that July, 4 people were killed in shark attacks along the Jersey coastline over just 12 days. While shark attacks like these are rare, the increasing water temperatures could lead to a new series of attacks anytime soon, which is why now is a good chance to maybe rethink that tropical vacation. Number 7. Veronica, 2017. Sliding into the number 7 spot is the bone-chilling Veronica. This 2017 Spanish horror film follows a teenage girl who started experiencing creepy supernatural events after she played with a Ouija board during a total solar eclipse. The movie was inspired by the real and utterly bizarre death of 18-year-old Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro in Madrid in 1991. Shortly after using a Ouija board, Estefania began experiencing seizures, hallucinations, and unexplained injuries. Tragically, she died just a few months later. The cause of her rapid physical and mental deterioration has never been explained, despite extensive investigations by authorities. Estefania's unsolved case remains one of Spain's most intriguing unexplained mysteries. Number 6. Poltergeist, 1982. Coming in at number 6 on our list is the ghostly classic Poltergeist. This 1982 horror feast, directed by Tobe Hooper, follows a suburban family terrorized by evil spirits in their home. The film took inspiration from the real-life case of the Herman family in Long Island, New York. In 1958, the Hermans moved into what seemed like a quiet, ordinary neighborhood, but soon after, they began hearing inexplicable noises throughout their home. Radios turned on by themselves, objects flew across the room, and their children's bed shook violently as if by invisible hands. Much like the fictional Freeling family, the Hermans fled from their haunted house after psychic investigators confirmed paranormal activity. It might be worth mentioning that the Hermans lived 7 miles away from the Amityville Horror House. You know the one. So maybe moving to Long Island might not be such a good idea after all. Number 5. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. In the number 5 spot is the intensely disturbing original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. While not based on an actual chainsaw murdering maniac, the film took inspiration from the real-life grave robber and serial killer Ed Gein. When police arrested Gein in 1957, they discovered his isolated farmhouse was decorated with macabre souvenirs crafted from human remains. Though the details are too graphic for this video, Gein's twisted artwork was so shocking that it inspired the fictional killers of both Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Norman Bates in Psycho. So while Leatherface himself isn't real, the grisly spirit behind him is plucked straight from one of the most bizarre and unsettling true crime cases ever. Number 4. The Exorcism of Emily Rose, 2005. Landing at number 4 is The Exorcism of Emily Rose, a horror film that played out as a tense courtroom drama. This 2005 flick took inspiration from the real-life case of Anneliese Michael, a young German woman who underwent 67 Catholic exorcisms before her death in 1974. Anneliese was diagnosed with epilepsy at 16, but her religious parents believed she was possessed by demons. Over the course of a year, 2 priests secretly performed lengthy exorcism rituals on the fragile girl. Anneliese died of malnutrition and dehydration, having been denied proper medical care. Her parents and the priests were convicted of neglect homicide for failing to intervene. The Exorcism of Emily Rose brought this tragic true story to the big screen, showing us that even good intentions can bring devastating consequences. Number 3. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, 2021. Grabbing our bronze medal spot is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The Conjuring franchise has always highlighted real cases of the paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. But this 2021 entry took things up a notch by depicting one of America's most groundbreaking legal cases involving demonic possession. The film dramatizes the 1981 murder trial of Arne Cheyenne Johnson, whose defense claimed he was possessed by evil spirits when he killed his landlord. Known as the Devil Made Me Do It case, it marked the first time in U.S. history that demonic possession was used as a legal defense. The Conjuring 3 delivers chilling echoes of the real trial transcripts, along with the usual ghostly jump scares. Whether you're a believer or not, the real histories behind the Warrens' spooky cases make the Conjuring movies even more terrifying. Number 2. A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Coming in at number 2 is A Nightmare on Elm Street. I know, you might be thinking, Freddy Krueger's real? Well, no, he isn't. While dream-stalking killer Freddy Krueger is fictional, his character was inspired by a disturbing real-life phenomenon. In the 1980s, dozens of Southeast Asian refugees mysteriously died in their sleep after suffering horrific nightmares. Director Wes Craven drew inspiration from a particular LA Times article about a young Cambodian refugee who was terrified to sleep for fear that he would die if he had a bad dream. Tragically, his nightmare came true. His parents found him screaming in his sleep, a nightmare from which he would never wake up. These unexplained, sudden nocturnal death syndrome cases among Southeast Asian immigrants were alarming enough to frighten medical experts, let alone inspire Wes Craven's creative mind. Number 1. The Exorcist, 1973. And at number 1 comes the undisputed 1973 horror classic, The Exorcist. This terror fest was adapted from a novel that was itself based on the real-life exorcism of a boy known as Ronald Doe in 1949. During his possession, Doe exhibited inexplicable behaviors like violent shaking, speaking in tongues, and words suddenly appearing on his skin. After weeks of traditional medical treatment failed, desperate priests conducted a secret exorcism right on the boy. Though equally dramatic and terrifying as the film, Doe's story had a positive outcome. He was allegedly freed from his possession and went on to live a full life, eventually passing away in 2020. The genuine eyewitness accounts of Doe's uncanny supernatural conjurations made The Exorcist feel vividly real and helped cement its status as the definitive demonic possession film. It's safe to say that no other horror movies have channeled true terror more effectively than The Exorcist. Do you agree with our list? Let us know your picks in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching another Film Binge video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated. Why not check out another Film Binge video from our suggestions? Catch you all in the next one.